What's up, y'all? Will here at Schedulefly. Here is a great episode with Audrey Quistorff, CEO of Big Red F Restaurant Group in Boulder, Colorado. Boy, if you've been listening to this podcast, or you've read our first book, or you've watched our Restaurant Owners Uncorked video series, Big Red F has been a part of all of it. And a lot of that was because owner and founder Dave Query was, really one of the people or the person that made us realize years ago that we need to do something more with this interview content than just put it on our blog. And that led to our first Restaurant Owners Uncorked book, which led to the video series, which led to the podcast, which led us here today. Audrey has been in the restaurant business a long time, and she's extremely sharp, and she knows the business very well. She has her finger on the pulse of what's changing in the business. This is just such a thoughtful, intelligent lady, and I really enjoyed getting to know her and just love this conversation. The cool part for me is that she brought in a beer that just won gold at the Great American Beer Festival for Post Brewing, which is one of Big Red F's concepts. You have to listen to the episode to hear what beer that is so you can go order some, because it's really good. And we talk about it towards the end of the episode, I believe. But nevertheless, I had beer a lot of the time. I tried to ask open-ended questions to let her talk so I could drink some beer and learn from her. And I did. I learned a lot from her, and you will too. So thank you for listening to this episode. We're going to jump right into it. But first, some words from our sponsors. Two sponsors. The first one is Schedulefly. That's our company, and we love our company, and we're proud of our company, and we're proud to serve Big Red F. We've been serving them for 12, 13 years now, and we've served a lot of folks for that long. We've been doing this since 2007, and look, if employee scheduling at your restaurant or your bar or your brewery or your boutique hotel, your coffee shop, or whatever it is, if employee scheduling and communication is not super simple and super clean, and or you don't have a scheduling tool that has incredible customer support, give us a shot. Schedulefly.com. You can do a 30-day free trial. No setup fees, no cancellation fees, no contracts, simple monthly pricing. We haven't changed the price in 15 years. So if you're on pencil and paper or Excel, or you're like taking a picture of the schedule and texting it out to your team or whatever, you don't have a good software, check us out. We'll take great care of you, and we'll make life easier at your restaurant for you and your team. If you're on some other software and it's not made for restaurants, and you're kind of have like square peg, round hole kind of thing, or you're on a restaurant employee scheduling software that is big and cumbersome and like tries to do all things for all people, and you're paying hundreds of dollars a month and you're not using most of it, give us a shot. Simple software, legendary customer service. That's our business model. My cell phone number, my personal cell phone number, is right there on the website on the trial sign-up page. I think it's on Learn More too. So grab that number, give me a call, shoot me a text. If you want to, rap about Schedulefly, I'm happy to do it anytime. Our second sponsor is Flip, F-L-Y-P. Y'all, I highly recommend take a minute and check out Flip. Flipmoney.com, again, F-L-Y-P, or go to the App Store. This is a partner of ours that we're super proud to be a partner with them. And they have a mobile banking platform. It is super easy, super clean. You get a checking account and you get a debit card. And there's no setup fees. There's no, minimum account balance fees. There's no there's no fees. The fees that banks charge, or you have to keep like $500 in there to avoid fees and all that kind of stuff, like monthly maintenance. Flip doesn't have that. They don't have branches, so they don't have to have this huge cost structure with all these people running around and paying all these people to, so they charge you fees, right? Nope. Flip has a checking account, more products coming. But here's the thing about Flip that's really cool. So tune in here. They have a debit card, but it's a rewards-based debit card. And that's really unique, right? Like credit cards pretty much all have rewards these days. You spend, you get rewards, whatever. But does your debit card have rewards? Probably not. Flip does. And every time you use your Flip card, you spin the Flip wheel on your app on your phone, and you can win 1% cash back, 2%, 5%, 20%, 50%, 100%, 110% actually, is the highest you can get. So that's real because the 100%, we had a Schedule Fly user that recently won 100% cash back. We had a Schedule Fly user that won 23% cash back recently. So this stuff's really cool. Now, if you don't win cash back, you're going to win flip coins. You get enough flip coins, and you can use those in a variety of ways. So you spend your money and you get rewarded through flip. Okay. Here's the cool thing. If you go sign up for a flip card and you use the promo code ScheduleFly, then if you spend $100 in the first month, you deposit your money in there, you spend $100 in the first month, they're going to give you $20. So boom, $20 on the house. You can put your direct deposit in there, part of your direct deposit in there, whatever you want to do. This thing it's really cool. And I say this product and this group of people. We know the people that started the business. Flip has a great team of people. We know them well. We respect them and we admire them, and we appreciate the way they run their business, very similar to ours. Simple product, great support. So check it out, flipmoney.com, or go to the App Store, Flip, FLYP. That is all. Here we go with Audrey Quistorff, CEO, Big Red F in Boulder. See ya. So we are recording. We are live. I'm super, super thrilled to be here, Audrey, in the offices of Big Red F and hanging out with you. I got to meet you very briefly last time I was in town. So thanks for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, thanks for coming, making the trip.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to hear we talked about this a little bit when we had coffee last time, but tell me your backstory on how you got dialed into hospitality initially.
Well, like most people, I think in our industry, it was like the first job, right? The hostess, the food server, the bartender. And I just worked my way up in a restaurant that I loved and had tons of fun. And all my college friends worked there. We all worked there together, and I never left. So even though we graduated and moved on and moved away, the restaurant stayed as the constant. Once you're in sometimes.
And you grew up in California?
I did, yeah.
Okay. What did you go to college for?
I went to college for English literature.
Yeah.
That's the kind of degree that comes with a restaurant manager job, I think.
Do you still read and write a lot?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fiction, nonfiction, business books?
A lot of business these days.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite business writers?
It's a great question. I'll have to go look on my desk. They kind of come and go. I'm super into the Harvard Business Review right now because you get it in little snippets.
Yeah.
So I fall in love with some concept and some idea, and then I go deeper and look up that author and get more into what they're into.
Yeah.
But my team, they're all pretty big readers. And a lot of times it's podcasts and audio, not always paper. But good way to stay curious and get after it.
Staying curious. I had somebody, a successful owner, told me years ago. I was asking what type of people he hired. He said, I hire curious people. If you're curious, you're interested. If you're interested, you're interesting. Okay, so actually, let's talk about that a little bit more. You've been here for 3 years now?
I have, yeah.
So you came in as Chief Operating Officer, and then you're now CEO of a $40-50 million a year business. You were in sort of the more corporate side of restaurants for a little while, which probably prepared you really well for a lot of things. And then there's probably a lot of things you're learning here that may be different, I guess. When you're reading stuff, what are some of the? You're not just reading then hospitality business authors, and you're reading people that are talking about how to manage a large team of people effectively and lead and get people dialed into what you're doing?
Yes. One of the things that's super enjoyable about my job and my team is we have a lot of people that have come up from within. And when you sit in a meeting, it's different than leading the meeting. And so as I travel with my teams and see them interact with their teams, sometimes I say, hey, we as a group need a little refresher on how to have a great meeting.
Yeah.
And so, there's books about everything. There's podcasts about everything. And we'll dive in and say, hey, what makes a really great meeting? What are some of those fundamentals? So you don't waste anyone's time and they come away, energized and all of the right things. And so as a group, we get into some of those types of things that are industry agnostic, but leadership, certainly focused, talking about different strategy in today's times, the strategy for business now. I mean, there is no long-range planning. that was never a strong suit in our industry, but certainly through COVID, long range is like till tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow afternoon feels like the future. So when you talk about strategy for your business and everybody's focus and your resources, it's so much quicker. It has to be so much more agile. So certainly plenty to learn and study on that.
Yeah, I mean, the industry's certainly gone through some changes over the last 10 years. Give me your high level 30,000 foot view of what's going on in the world of particularly independent restaurants right now, and what's changing with the generation of workers that are coming in, and what the customer's looking for now.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's very different. The lifers of our industry are mostly gone, and by lifers, of course, you know what I mean. People that just got into it and stayed into it forever, and through the shutdown of COVID and through people making life choices, even people that stayed with us all the way through COVID then said, hey, I wanted to stay and make sure everybody was great, but I always wanted to do this other thing, and now's my chance. Yeah. A lot of people left in the heart of the pandemic for fear or personal reasons, or all good reasons, I'm sure. But new workforce in the industry. I had the pleasure of going to a restaurant association meeting yesterday with a whole bunch of independent owner-operators and managers and chefs, and it was a good group. Someone had a Schedule Fly hat on, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Everybody was talking about even, some really high-end restaurants where typically there's very little turnover. Mm-hmm. Even they have all new crew. It's really flipped. And so a lot of opportunity to have new blood and new ideas and new passion, and a lot of challenges on how do you train those skills that used to be handheld and brought up. You start as a busboy, and a waiter teaches you how to be a great busboy or busser, and then you become a bartender, but you've already done all these other things. And when you have to replace so many people at once, you have to suddenly, your head bartender is like 5 days into the industry in general. Didn't have that sort of tutelage or the legacy or the tribal knowledge that comes up with growing up in our industry. So it's definitely been different. It's refreshing because this is actually a really good group. This is a great generation to work with. Yeah, they get a lot of heat. They get a lot of slack because they want to do it differently. They want to have a say. They want to have balance. They want to have creativity. They want to be listened to, and those are all good things if you can make it happen. But they're different than restaurant workers 10 years ago.
Yeah, the balancing is well, it's important. It's healthy because it's sustainable. One of the industry challenges for so long was just, it was work hard, play hard, but the play hard portion could lead to whether it's substance abuse or there's just been all kinds of challenges that the industry's had to overcome because of that, and that's positive. But it also is, it's not easy, and it's been kind of a part of the culture of restaurants for a really long time. Do you, when you think about Big Red F and the next, do you think 10 years out? I know you're just saying it's, you kind of have to think till tomorrow, but do you all think about where is this all going over the next decade?
Yeah, for sure we do. Excuse me. We have, yes, we know that our industry is going to bounce back, and we know that people are going to fall in love with working in restaurants. They always have, and they always will. It's just a little bit different, and we have to, as an industry, and certainly here with our group, we spend a lot of time thinking about how we can do it differently and how we can make it better. I had the opportunity to talk to some of our leaders this week, a couple of GMs, new GMs, new to the GM role and excited and excitable. And I said, hey, what's on your mind? And they said, how do I not get burned out? And I thought, man, we could talk about anything in the world, and you're just starting your career, but your number one fear is burnout.
Yeah.
So we have to combat that and help these guys find the right schedules and the right limits and the right permission to work when they need to work and not work when they don't want to work or can't work or don't need to be there. So there's some changes coming, but when you ask if we're thinking 10 years out, for sure, because our restaurants, our industry, not just our restaurants, our industry is the lifeblood of some of these communities. It's where people go, and it's where they feel safe, and they want to connect and unwind. And that I don't think that goes away, but I do think it continues to evolve.
Yeah. It's interesting. I always wonder, like when you start, your first place and you hang your shingle out and you're the owner and it's your baby, you're going to work 24/7 if you have to, not because somebody's making you, because you want to and you love it and you want to make it work and you have everything on the line and it's a personal pride and it's your financial future and all this kind of stuff. So I've always understood that. I've always tried to understand how do you, and I think people like you and Dave and so many of the owners I've gotten to know over the years have done such a great job of instilling that kind of love and pride and care into the people that work for you. And that I just find that to be a very fascinating topic. And I think if you're able to do that with some level of success, it's an amazing thing to do. And part of that might be finding people that are naturally, wired that way. Part of it's good leadership and coaching. But it just seems, particularly when you're adding in, the need for balance and the need for all these things. I mean, I have to say that's a little surprising. That's the first thing on somebody's mind is, how do I not burn out when they're, just getting started? But that is what's going on these days. And you have to have also people that are willing to go the extra mile and that care so deeply about what you're doing that they're willing to, do things that are, above and beyond what they've been asked to do. That seems like a big challenge to me, to find those types of people and then to provide the right types of pay and benefits and culture to make them really excited about being here a long time and thriving here and growing with your team. That's no easy task.
Yeah, you've summed it up perfectly. That's the challenge at hand, right? For us, for the Big Red F and for our locations, we really pride ourselves and value the culture that really is general manager and chef focused. And it's not just GM and chef, right? It's everybody in our restaurants, because we believe that the best ideas, the best food, the best service tricks, everything is going to come from within. It's not going to come from this office. I've already given every good idea I have, so is Dave. And we might travel and get new ideas and scrub up our old ideas and repackage them. But every good idea, everything in the future is going to come from the field, from our teams, from our restaurants. And so once people get in our organization and realize that they not only have a voice, but we require that. We need them to have a voice. It helps them get in that owner-operator mindset. Dave was telling me a story recently that there was like a year recently, maybe like a year or two years ago, where all of our merchandise was done by this super creative guy who worked part-time as a busser for us, but he was like an artist and he did all of our merch.
Wow.
And so those types of things, that keeps people around, it keeps them engaged, it keeps fresh ideas coming for us. And it helps with that owner-operator mentality when people realize, hey, you have a say, you have a voice, and it's mostly required. We need you to have a say and a voice. And so to what your point was, how do you get the people who are worried about burning out? I've said you're probably going to touch part of this business every day because we're sharing this business. It's ours together. That's how we treat our leadership, right. And that's part of their overall package. But that doesn't mean you have to go every day. It doesn't mean you have to miss, the rest of your life and the kid stuff and the sports and everything else that's on your plate and on your mind. But that sense of ownership, we need that. And it goes both ways. It does work, certainly when people do buy in with us emotionally, and it's their teams. They have these great crews that they're running, and they're fun. I think that's maybe a bigger part of it than we realize is you got to have some fun at work. You got to help them have fun, because their job's not always that fun coming out of these last couple of years.
Yeah.
And coming in and saying, hey, remember to have some fun today. This is what we're doing, and bringing that fun and giving them permission, and then actually telling them how to do it when they're so head down, bogged down in some part of their business that's requiring a lot of extra attention. You got to pick your head up and go, hey, we're here for food and drinks and making people's day. So we can't forget that. We can't forget that for our staff.
I've always felt like this industry I feel like everybody should work in hospitality at some point, particularly when you're young. The skill sets you learn are just invaluable. Being able to set aside maybe your, what's going on personally, take care of the public, work hard, and, be a good teammate, support people that you're working with, pick up the slack when somebody's down or sick or whatever, work under high pressure over short periods of time where, there's rushes on and there's just a lot of stuff happening, and be able to keep your cool with your teammates, with your guests, being able to make people smile and have a good experience, being able to read the room and know that this table needs a lot of attention, this table wants to just be kind of left alone. I mean, those are like highly tradable skills. And then I look at like, gosh, if you're a part of an organization like Big Red F or, all these great groups, Culinary Creative, Juan's group down there, and, you have this opportunity to start somewhere and just grow in the business, because the business is growing, and there's these opportunities that present themselves all the time, like designing our merch, even though you're a busser. My son had his first summer job this past summer, and we had him working at a restaurant. It's just such an amazing career. I feel that way, and I know you feel that way. How do you convince, there's so many options now. Like, how do you reach young people to help them understand, like, this isn't a place where you just go get a job to make money while you're in college until you get a real job? Or like, how do you get people to understand, like, this is an amazing career that has like massive amounts of opportunity, whether it's on the creative side or the management side, and you get tied in with a really good group, or, a good restaurant or group of restaurants. You can spend your life doing this and be very productive and happy.
Yeah, absolutely. To your point, we need everybody, right? That restaurants take so many people. We need everybody. We need the college job kids that are going to go on to do great things and then become our guests.
Yeah. Okay.
But we need, some lifers to definitely help with the continuity. But in our industry, in our casual dining environment, we need everybody. We need your first job. We need this to be your forever job. We need this to be everything in between. And sometimes we, like I said, we end up growing our own guests. So you work for us for a couple of years, and then you go get your quote unquote real job, and then you come back and you dine with us forever. And then that's great. That's a great sense of community. It's fun in our restaurants. So we don't mind that.
Yeah.
How do we catch the people and turn them into those lifetime professionals, the ones that want to? I think it's part of our conversation regularly. You mentioned, the old days, hey, you all party together, and there was some other things that made restaurants really magnetic. And right now, especially with this generation that's coming into our workforce and just becoming managers with us, the things that they value, certainly everyone likes to have a good time, but it's a little bit different. They want connection. They want community engagement. They want to know we're doing the right thing, and we're helping the environment and reducing our carbon footprint, and we're working on the water that we waste, and we're composting. And so for me, I spend a lot of time with our teams just listening to what's important to them. figuring out how we can make sure our interests are aligned, because they're passionate about the environment and the climate and what we're doing in our communities. And when we can all work together, then they get engaged, they stay engaged, and then we become or stay where they want to be for work and then again as guests. But it's definitely different focus than it was like I said, 10 years ago or certainly more, when people were more focused on other things. And this group of employees is highly engaged in our world. And that's good. It's going to make them good employees. But they have things to say, and we have to find a way to listen to them and listen to their great ideas and make them feel valued. Otherwise, they go work for somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. But also understand that that's a long road too. Some of those things can't be just done right away. But there was a book you may enjoy. Daniel Pink wrote this book called Drive. I read it years ago. And do you know him?
I do.
Have you read Drive?
Yeah.
Autonomy, mastery, and purpose. I'll always think about that. It always goes back. But one of the things, the purpose part of that is just such a big aspect of that, of feeling like I'm not just here like we're to make money and work hard for somebody. I'm here because this group of people has a purpose and a mission, and they're trying to do well by the climate. They're trying to do well by our community. I mean, restaurants have a wonderful opportunity, and I know y'all have done this, to gather people together for important causes or to raise money for certain things, or so it's that's a great way to provide that purpose. The mastery part of that. I'm curious about the culinary side of this. And the reason I ask you this is it's not something I really have talked about or thought about a whole lot lately, but one of the things Juan Pedro was saying earlier today was that he's been going to Mexico City a lot, and he's saying he's so inspired. And he says that, according to him, they're way ahead of us in the culinary scene right now. We have these great culinary institutes, and people are going to those, and that's fine, but they're doing some amazing things. So where are we from a culinary perspective?
Well, I would not argue that we're a little bit behind. I don't know exactly where we got derailed, but we got a little bit derailed and just got stuck in that survival mode. Like, how do you open up and what can you sell that can get packaged to go? But certainly Mexico City would have gone through that too, right?
Yeah.
I know Dave is doing the same. He's been out and traveling like crazy and getting inspired, and it's fun to see.
Yeah.
And in our kitchens, really that downshift for us, meeting with the chefs, and we just launched some fall menus, and the theme for all of the fall menus was somewhere in between, no rules and what can you push, and like almost to chaos cooking, like where's the line, and then go past it, go past where you think that line is, and let's have some fun again. So that's been a really enjoyable couple months working with all the chefs who helped develop all the menus, and really listening to or sensing, where we can go and where we can push, and we'll make some mistakes. Of course, that's part of the fun part too. But coming out of the gate a little bit differently and a little more with culinary creativity and pressure or drive on really pushing that and getting out of that safe zone. It's fun. That's what we're doing. I can't speak to a lot of the other restaurants around because I've been so focused on our new menus.
Yeah, sure.
But can't wait to get out and see everybody's fall and winter menus and see if that holds true.
You mentioned a meeting that you were at, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
It's been interesting because independent restaurants, have to often stay very inwardly focused, and because you've got to keep the business going, there's just so much going on. So it's been challenging. Like, I think the National Restaurant Association has its place, but for independent restaurants, it's been hard to find anything that sort of binds everybody together and brings everybody together to share ideas and work on common causes and things like that. I know that, when I was here last time, Dana was mentioning Eat Denver. What are some of the things that y'all are doing as a community to help, rising tide lift all boats?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that from my point of view, inside the restaurants, there's a ton of connection. I don't think that it's hard to get connected. I do think that, excuse me, now maybe even more than ever, restaurant groups and single individual operator, single owned mom and pops, which are the lifeblood of our industry, we share ideas and we share talent and we share tip models and we share challenges with labor, and we band together to, Dana just recently finished up a really great leadership position or led a group called Restaurants Rally the Vote. And it's really just about getting out the vote. It's like, we're not telling you how to vote. We're just saying, go vote, right? Go find your voice.
Yeah.
And things like that touches everybody in our industry. But yeah, certainly Eat Denver, which I think maybe we drug you to a meeting or something like that. That's a big coalition of a lot of restaurants.
Yeah.
And I just think that it's so important. Yesterday, we were talking about, labor, minimum wage, some issues that are touching every restaurant of every size. And I can't tell you how many people were like, yeah, I'm going to call you. Yeah, thanks. Here's this. Here, let me share this with you. There's so much sharing because we have banded together as an industry to survive this last couple years, and that connection was real. So I think that I don't see that going away. I don't see a sense of competition. I see a real sense of brotherhood and helpfulness. Every restaurant that's open is good for every restaurant.
Single location mom and pops, they are the lifeblood. Wages have gone up. Food costs have gone up. I imagine it's got to be a struggle right now when you don't have economies of scale. But they're such an important part of the fabric of the restaurant community, the culture of any great city. I heard something the other day. I heard it twice the other day that something like 40-something% of restaurants in the U.S. didn't pay rent last month, or I don't know if that's true or not. You never know with those types of things. Are you starting to hear that? I mean, are single locations starting to feel a lot of pressure after stimulus money's gone and everything's kind of going back, but we have all these increased overhead and costs?
I think that maybe I would say that there was certainly a honeymoon period coming out of COVID this last year where people wanted to get out and really support their favorite restaurants, similar to at the beginning of the pandemic when everybody was getting takeout like crazy.
Right.
And that slowed down a little bit. People are cautious. The economy's uncertain. And I do think that restaurants have slowed down a little, but I also think that people are very, very loyal to the restaurants they love, and an operator, whether you have one bar and grill or 5 bars and grills around the town, if you ever tapped into that community's still showing up for you pretty regularly. I can't speak to restaurants that are struggling to pay their bills, although I'm in our business, certainly. It isn't a crazy heyday that we've had in years past. It's tough because, to your point, the costs are going up and the supply chain is still uncertain. And so it's hard to get the right products. And so you're changing things a lot. And as an industry, we haven't passed that on to the consumer yet. It costs more to go to the grocery store to buy dinner than it does to go to restaurants. And I'm not an economist, but that's not sustainable. So restaurants are going to come up, and I don't know what grocery stores do, but restaurants in general are a little bit slow to take pricing, as we call it, because it changes the dynamic. But I think every time we have, the guests are like, yeah, I get it. I know what gas costs. I know what I'm paying at the grocery store. So I think, that there's hard times ahead as you turn on the news and people are saying, don't go buy the TV, keep the money in the bank because we don't know what the economy is going to do. But I think there's some other people that are saying, hey, we're okay here, and would rather support a small local business than maybe some of the bigger guys. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to know. There's a lot of mixed signals right now. I mean, are people still, I don't know. I mean, I go out to places, well-run restaurants. I'm sure if I go up there to Jack's after this, it's going to be hopping. I mean, it seems like, people that have done a good job managing and running the restaurant for the long term. I see so many people out. Sometimes I'm actually blown away at how many people are still out in restaurants and enjoying life and having a good time. And so that's good to see.
Yes, it is.
This beer is very good. So I want to take an opportunity before I forget. Tell us about this beer that you and I are sitting here drinking, and why you decided to bring this particular one in.
Well, I thought we should have some beer while we're doing an afternoon podcast because, why not?
Right.
But we have this great brewer, and his name is Nick, and he makes beer for us at the Post. And he just won the gold medal at the GABF. So we're really proud of him. So he's actually doing a happy hour at some of our Post locations where he's meeting people and pouring beer for free and giving away half price of this and that and T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. So it's our Elkhorn, and it's all over the Post this week. And so I thought I better bring some and send you home with some so you could drink some.
Big old can. What's Nick's last name?
Tedeschi.
Okay, I thought so. I had him on the podcast.
Oh, good.
4 years ago.
Oh, good.
He's been around for a while,
yeah,
right?
He has.
Great dude.
He is a great dude. Yep.
Really, really good dude. It actually makes me want to go back and contact him and see if he wants to do another one. I remember being very impressed with him. Happy dude, loves what he does, loves his craft. So there you go.
Yeah,
gold medal.
One big negative on Nick, really big, is he does some training for us. We have all of our general managers and all of our chefs go through the brewery and learn about beer and learn about his style and taste all of his beer and do all of that. And then all of them want to become brewers. So we told him that he has to stop telling everybody how great his job is just a little bit and let our people work in the restaurants and not want to just become brewers. But lots of people home brewing with his advice through our organization. It's awesome.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's
he's a great
fantastic.
guy.
Maybe he'll inspire the next great brewer. So y'all have how many different concepts now?
We have our Post Chicken and Beer and the Brewing Company, and we have Jack's Fish House and Oyster Bar. We're sitting right next to Centro Mexican. And then we have the West End Tavern, which is like a barbecue whiskey joint. We do a little catering and have a few other things in the hopper, but those are our big brands.
Centro and West End are single locations?
They are, yeah.
Okay, so how many Jack's locations do y'all have now?
We have 6.
And Post?
7.
6 and 7, okay.
And then we have our new, I think you went last time you were here, you went and did a little
Velvet
dancing
Elk.
and partying and shook your tail feather
cool.
at the Velvet Elk. Yeah, new live music venue. So that's fun. That's new for us.
That's a cool place.
Yeah.
I like that place a lot. We had a good time there. Do we keep growing Post and Jack's? I mean, you guys seem to figure out how to replicate that. Is that where Big Red F is going with like more of those and more locations, or do you have other concepts that you're wanting to consider, or can you say?
Sure, I'll say just I won't put it in ink, but we're ready to open another Jack's. We have some ideas on a refresh on some cool things. We really love that raw bar at our Jack's.
Yeah.
The menu's fun.
Yep.
So I think that'll be next. We're hot to do another one of those, and we do have some concepts in mind that are sort of in the incubation period. And by that I mean Dave's out eating and drinking and sending me a million photos, and I'm doing the same, and we're talking and texting and
I'd love to see some of that.
Yeah. And, seeing what we want to do next. So we're hot. We have a couple of different things that are close, and I promise we'll tell you about them first. But, it's fun. We love the idea of our Boulder community, and maybe there's another Big Red F restaurant coming here. And then we go, no, let's do something else. And so we're as non-committal and creative as ever, but we have some good ideas coming.
How do you keep growing but maintain that sense of being, a local community, independent restaurant that's part of it's not 5,000 locations and, becomes more like a chain? I mean, how do you keep that sense of family and the connection to the community that you get by default when you're one location, and now you have 7 of one and 6 of the other and growing?
Well, that's a great question. It harkens back to what you were just saying a few minutes ago about how do you get the managers to really have that ownership piece and feel like that. And that's the magic, right? The general manager or the chef of the location, giving them tons of freedom and support, but guidelines, right? I mean, we want them to do, at our Mexican place, we want them to do, mostly something that feels like Mexican food.
Yeah,
they can wander if they need to and want to. Like I was saying, a little no rules, a little pushing them.
Yeah.
Maybe into other parts of Latin America or other cuisines, but we really harnessing and fostering that culture helps with what you're talking about. And then anybody that's ever spent any time with Dave, he's never, met a stranger. So that collection of friends along the way, I think really helps. And that starts at the top, and it's certainly part of our culture. It isn't without effort. I mean, that we spend a lot of time talking about how do we protect that, because it's so important. Anybody can do great food.
Yeah.
Maybe not everybody, but lots and lots of people could do the food part, but it's all about the people. And certainly I believe that. I know Dave does, and everybody on our team does.
You know the parable of the child throwing the starfish back into the ocean? Have you ever heard this?
I haven't.
So there's a dude walking down the beach, and he sees this young child, and she's throwing starfish into the ocean one at a time. And he's like, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm throwing starfish back." "Well, why are you doing it?" "Because then they'll live." Well, the guy's like, "Yeah, but there's like 30 miles of beach here. There's hundreds of thousands of starfish that have been washed up. You can't make a dent. Throwing these back, it's not going to matter. There's still going to be 100,000. And she throws one into the ocean. She goes, "Well, it mattered to that one."
Yep.
I love that so much. And I think you all do that so well, that just building relationships, one employee at a time, one customer at a time, one fellow business owner at a time. That's it matters to each of them. And then over time that compounds. That's why I always like to come out here. I mean, y'all have a special place. You have a special group of people. It's in everybody I interact with here every single time I'm here. And I've been in a lot of places, but there's something special about what y'all do. So I tip my hat to that, because I think it really matters a lot. And I have just profound respect and admiration for the way y'all have built this business, the way you treat your staff, the way you treat your customers, the way you treat the communities that you're in.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep doing what you're doing.
Hey, thanks.
Well, what else, is anything else on your mind? By the way, I'm the one sitting here drinking all this stuff. Like, are you trying to?
That's good. I brought it for you.
Yeah. Is there anything we haven't talked about that we should?
Not that I can think of. Holidays are coming. You do anything fun?
Well, I'd like to get out here on some skis if I could, but my daughter comes home Friday, so I'm excited to head back tomorrow night, see her. She's home for a week, and we're kind of around. I mean, I would really, really, really like to get back out here and hit the slopes sometime. I skied with Dave and John Bachman it was like 2 weeks before COVID at Eldora. So that's like a tainted memory, because it was like, right before this all blew up. So I'd like to come back out and on the other side of all this and spend some time and ski and stuff like that. Do you ski?
Yeah.
Snowboard or ski?
Ski.
Good.
I don't know.
Have you skied with Dave?
I haven't skied with Dave.
He's good.
Yeah.
He kept me on my toes. So I have 3 kids, and my oldest 2 started on snowboards because they're like, that's cooler. And then my youngest, I got him on skis. I have a little bit more influence on him. And then my daughter fell on her snowboard twice over the course of a few years and broke her wrist both times. So she's like, I'm done with that. I want to go back to skis. And my son made the switch last year to skis. So my subtle, patient, long-term influence is paying off.
That's good. My kids have been skiing recently. Well, obviously not this season yet, but last season, and it's so fun to see them take the pictures of the little group shots. And hey, this is where we are. Wish you were here, and it's fun to see them out.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, where are your kids now?
They're all here in Colorado.
Aren't you lucky?
Yes, I am. That's one of the reasons that I couldn't wait to get back to Colorado.
How many do you have?
I have 3 kids.
3 kids.
Yeah.
Wow. So they're all here are they here in like the Denver Boulder area?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We need to talk off air how you manage that. Like, I'm like, my oldest is just now in college, but my wife and I are always like, oh, how do we keep them nearby? Like one day, like I just want them close. I want my grandkids to be close one day. Do you have any grandkids yet?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. But it's fun, I would say one of life's greatest pleasures is watching your kids become friends as they're adults, and it's awesome. It's great, super enjoyable.
Yeah, from when they're young and they're in the back seat fighting and yelling and slapping and screaming, and then they become like, and then you're like, they're just talking about us right now, and they're all good friends, and they're talking about how we're old fogies losing it.
Yep.
Well, mine are already doing that, and mine are 18, 15, and 13. So, but God, just like that, it seems like.
Yeah.
Well, did they grow up, they had to have. They grew up in and around restaurants. Are any of them involved in the business?
Not right at the moment, but all of them are proficient, and they've all shown up to help when needed.
That's great.
We launched a catering company recently, and, when we couldn't get staff, we just, you could send out the text, and my kids are inclined to show up in the right outfit and get the work done. So it's fun. But no, none of them currently are in our industry. My oldest was with a big group and kind of on a bright path. And when they went through their COVID shutdown, they didn't handle it maybe as well as they should have. And she took that opportunity to go do something else, which I support totally. But yeah, they've all grew up in restaurants, and they all do a little bit of restaurant work when required.
That's cool. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, Audrey. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yeah,
I've really enjoyed getting to know you the last couple of trips out here. Appreciate you, and just have a lot of respect for you and the team here. Y'all are awesome. Proud to serve you, and appreciate the opportunity to share this.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.